What I want to take a few minutes to talk about today is standing up for yourself. Standing up for myself is something that was pretty hard for me to do throughout most of high school. Freshman through junior year of high school, I had this inability to speak my mind, to stand up for myself. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in high school. It was just, I physically could not do it. And it hurt me in a lot of ways, and I lost out on valuable moments and opportunities to build up my character and to sharpen myself up and to teach people how to treat me, which is what I think standing up for yourself and speaking your mind is all about, is teaching people how to treat you. Because I believe that you teach people how to treat you, and the way you do that is by telling others how you feel, telling them, reminding others when they step out of line. But I don't necessarily want to talk about standing up for yourself, at least not in this video. I'll talk about it in a later video, but what I want to talk about first today is, if you think of standing up for yourself at this kind of pinnacle here, what you're trying to aim for. What I want to talk about are the building blocks down here. And the building blocks, I believe, like for anything that you want to work on for yourself, you have to start small. You have to start laying a foundation somewhere. So the foundation, I would say, for standing up for yourself would be sharing your opinions. So that's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes, is sharing your opinions. That's a scary thing too. It's not as bad as having to face people who treat you poorly, who lie about you or behind your back, or to your face, and they lob insults and accusations at you, and they make you feel uncomfortable, and you have to make a scene in front of a bunch of people. That's not fun. It's also not fun just to go against the grain, just to stand out from the crowd and voice your opinion about things. And it's something I did a lot in high school. I was a very, very agreeable person in high school. I felt like all I did every day was just nod my head all day. And so that happened a lot with friends. And of course they weren't trying to be mean or anything, and they definitely weren't peer pressuring me into thinking any certain way. But a great example is my senior year of high school. I sat with a good group of guys that I still talk to now, being a sophomore in college, so that's worked out pretty well. They're a good group of guys, and pretty laid back. There's no drama or gossip like it would be if it was a table full of girls, I guess. But pretty laid back, chill guys, and we talk about whatever. One thing they like to talk about, like movies and books and video games especially, and they would say something like, oh, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, that it's a video game, that one was the worst one, that was the worst out of the 3. But I happen to like the game a lot, and I actually do. But they would all turn to me and ask me, right? They'd be like, Jay, you agree, right? That's like, that game sucks. I'd be like, oh yeah, totally. Even though I didn't believe that at all. And I knew I was like betraying myself by saying those things. As I was speaking those words, simultaneously, some voice somewhere in the back of my head was saying, you don't believe that. You don't believe that to be true. You shouldn't be saying that. That's not who you are. And senior year was a time for me to reflect on how I was talking and interacting with people, and more importantly, how I was representing myself to others. So what I started to practice was stating my opinions. And what I started with was the smallest of aims. I believe that's important. That's how you lay the foundation, I think, for anything you want to work on for yourself. In any area of your life, of your personality, of yourself that you want to improve, I believe what you do is you start out small. So what I thought to myself, what I told myself was, think of this, and this can help, hopefully it will help you as well, is to think of the smallest objection that you could think of. The most seemingly trivial topic that you'd want to argue against, something that you value or believe in, and then go smaller. Keep going smaller and smaller and smaller. Every time you think you're there, see if there's anything you can go smaller until you can't go any smaller and any more seemingly trivial than that, and then you can start there. So for me, that was saying, hey, I actually liked that video game, while everyone else was saying, oh, that game sucks. It's a small thing. It's not a big deal, and in most situations, it's not necessary to say that to a group of people. I could have just kept my head down, or just kind of listened to them and not have said anything, and it would have been fine. It's not a high tension, high stress situation. There's nothing dangerous about it. But that's what I started to do, is I voiced my opinions on the smallest of matters to start out. So they were scary, but they weren't a dragon, it was something that I could manage. So I practiced this, and it took me a little while, but we'll say about a week later, I'm at lunch and they're talking about a different game or a movie, and they're like, yeah, don't you think, Jake? And everyone starts to laugh and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really think so. And I yell it. I yell it, and I stutter over my words, and I can feel my face turning red and flushed. I freaking yelled it to all of them, and they all kind of jump, and they look at each other, and they're like, what's wrong with Jake? And they're like, oh, okay, all right, that's cool, you like it, okay. I freaked him out, and I freaked out myself too. But as they all went back to eating, I didn't say this out loud like a crazy person. I kept it inside, but I told myself, that was good. Good job, Jake. And I got into the habit of congratulating myself after I did things. I said, good job. You just stated your opinion. For the first time, maybe ever, that I've done that. So I said, good job, Jake. You just stated your opinion about something. And I kept doing it. I did it again and again until eventually I was doing it every day. And it was on small things. But before I knew it, I was debating with people about things that I really valued. Things that were high up on my list of things that I prioritize or value the most in my life. So it started out small, sharing my opinions on things like books and movies and video games and sports, and very non-controversial, low stress, low danger level, situations and topics, and slowly built up and up and up. And it never got easier to state my opinion. Just like a lot of things that make you uncomfortable in life, it never got easier. I got braver. I got better at doing it every single time. And it was practice. And those first few times, I literally had to force myself. I had to almost scream it out loud to myself and say, you have to speak up. You have to say this. And the first few times, like I said, was very awkward, and I'd feel my face get red, and I'm stuttering over my words and speaking really loud or really quietly, but I said it. And like I said, it grows and grows, and I keep getting better and better until I'm debating with people about things that I actually care about. And what that snowballs into is being able to speak up for yourself. That's what I'm going to talk about in a future video, but today I wanted to share with you guys a technique that I used and I'm still using today to help me with sharing my opinion, voicing my opinion to other people, and telling people what I like, what I don't like, what I believe in or what I don't believe in. And I think if you can employ this method in your speech, in your interactions with people, it'll help you out a lot. And it'll get you to that step of being able to start practicing speaking up for yourself. Catch you in the next video, guys.